Welcome to The Point of View. It's your favorite current affairs show on television, and it's on City TV. My name is Bernard Avle. On The Point of View, we get the right guests. We ask them relevant questions on issues that matter to you. It's an interactive show. We encourage your comments. We have a very exciting show for you tonight. Stay with us. So today I bring you part 2 of my exciting conversation with the Apostle General Sam Korankye Ankrah. He was 60 years old on the 23rd of February. In the part 1, we spoke about the prophetic. In this part, we will talk about politics, corruption, and the future of Ghana. But I'll remind you quickly of what we did on part 1. Enjoy. I want us to talk about the evolution of the Christian faith. So I see the first wave in the late 19th century, the Orthodox churches, okay, EP, Catholic, and all these people. Then, of course, after the Azusa Street, you have the Pentecostals. Apostolic first, Pentecost AG, in the early 1900s. It's quite clear that the charismatic movement started in the early 80s with Duncan Williams. And then you mentioned some names, Otabil, Isaac Kwe, Ajay Nasari, and then
Robert Ampiah
Kofi, Dag, and all these Adai Mensa people. First point. It looks like God deliberately prepared a group of people between 1980 and 1993 for what we are seeing today. So if you look at the largest charismatic churches in Ghana, you came from the same crucible. Did you know at the time when God called you, June 91, that God was calling you to be part of a movement, what is now referred to as a charismatic movement? Did you know that?
No. At the time when we all started inclining towards God or leaning heavily towards God, it was a very difficult time in Ghana at the time. This was the early 80s when His Excellency President Rawlings had launched this revolution. And it was quite fearful to be walking on the streets of Accra at that time. We were all youngsters at the time, apart from Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams. So all of us were in school, either in secondary Form 4 or Form 5 or Form 3 or somewhere thereabout, you know. And we saw that, hey, things were getting out of hand in this country. Secondary students, we could go to school without the basic provisions, tinapa, sardine, nothing. Gari, you know, and so on. Kenke, you had to queue for kenke. Toilet roll, you had to queue for toilet roll. Toothpaste, you know, and so on. And so, Achimota Forest became our sleeping place. I will go there and I will see Markwe coming to pray. This one was coming to pray. We're all coming to pray. And then Legon Gardens. And we prayed, God help our nation. God help our nation. So God used the occasion to call us. He used our burning bush to call our attention to himself. And so when we became born again and spirit-filled, we continued, and we all continued to the universities. And so at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Reverend Markwe, them launched, you know, with Eastwood Anaba, launched this revival with Robert Ampiah Kofi. Ampiah Kofi was so intoxicated with the things of God that he even stopped the university. He stopped.
He was drunk in the spirit.
He was drunk in the spirit. And then came. And you can imagine the firstborn of his father. The father wept. But finally, he's never a disgrace. He's never a shame. And so I'm sure that looking back, the father says, well, this is the counsel and the will of God. Then at Legon, there was another revival that had broken there. Myself, Daki Watt Mills, E.A.T. Saki, Eddie Adi, who are with Lighthouse, Obodai, who is at Action. We had also started something there, and witnessing were on fire. Those were difficult times in our country. So God used the difficulty to call us into ministry. As I said earlier, we didn't intend to do full time. We all wanted to just be a Dak, for example, wanted to be a doctor, and then still
do it on the side.
Do it on the side. E.A.T. Saki wanted to be a lawyer, do it on the side. I wanted to finish my public administration, do it on the side. All of us wanted to do something on the side, but alas, here we are today by virtue of the fact that we started getting mentoring from outside, reading magazines, reading books. We started learning how to hear the voice of God. And then we had to accept the fact that if we wanted to change the landscape, the spiritual landscape, then we had to do what our forefathers did. Our forefathers, as you said, those in evangelical, the Presbyterians, the Methodists, and so on and so forth, they did full-time work. And then the Pentecostal fathers, Apostle Enim, James McKeown, and those contemporary group, they did it full-time. So why is it that when it is our time, we are so scared that God will not take care of us? God will be able to take care of us, and He has.
So in the Bible and in history, we learn that a generation is now 40 years. So what God started in early 80s, we are in 2020, it's been one generation. So I notice a lot of your children are now entering ministry. So the question to you and your colleagues in that generation, this generational move, what do you think is the legacy of the charismatic movement? Because it's gone through one generation. And all of you have gotten to a stage where you have to hand over at some point. Okay? What is the most important legacy of this 40-year move? And where is the fire now?
So in this move, we have solved, first of all, the problem of alienating our children from ministry. Our children, by the grace of God, are not weed smokers. By the grace of God, they brought us honor. My son is in ministry. My first daughter, who's a lawyer, is in ministry. My third is in ministry. Even the last born is in ministry. Bishop Ajina Asari's children are in ministry. Bishop Dak Heward Mills' children are in ministry. Who else?
Even Duncan Williams' son.
Duncan Williams' son.
Daughter.
And daughters are in ministry. So we have been able to solve that problem by marrying ministry with familyness. Busy as we were, we still made time for our children, to love them, and so on. With me, one of the things that I think that God used to win the hearts of my children was when they saw that, it is possible to be a man of God and yet be a responsible father. It is possible to marry a woman and honor her and respect her. They've never heard us argue. They never heard us fight. All argument and fighting took place in a bedroom under lock.
When you finish, you wash your face.
I haven't even finished. If you ask my children right now, they'll confirm that during the argument, it was not my voice they heard their mother's voice. I spoke on that too, and then their mother screamed. So we honored each other. We honored each other so much in their presence that it became a beauty. My son has entered into marriage, and so far they have never, he and his wife, they've never come to us with a problem to solve. Except that because I'm prophetic and I can hear the voice of God, when I see their faces, I know there are problems. But they refuse to tell us. I said, well, solve your problem the way your mother and I will solve our problems. So we've solved that.
The family side has been dealt with.
The family side has been dealt with. Now, suddenly we'll be able to sell the vision to our children that if this is what we have lived for in the past 40 years, they've seen us sacrifice. They've seen our tears. They've seen us falling sick because when we're supposed to be resting, we're not resting. They've seen us abused. They've seen people write about us negative things. They have heard evil reports about us. In all of these circumstances, we stood. We held on to the faith. It has challenged them and it has motivated them that let me just come on board and let me continue where my father is living off. So as part of our legacy, we are now preparing the next generation to be able to take over from us. And I know you'll be coming.
Yeah. Let me deal with that. So there are some people who feel that the prophetic move is actually God's intention. So from Pentecostalism to Charismatism and now in the prophetic era.
Yeah.
And somehow they blame you guys for what we are seeing with the prophetic move. Because don't forget, you also came out of a system. So after 40 years, we are seeing a lot of, I mean, not all of them are doing the wrong thing, but some of them have run wild. And something people like you, Duncan Williams, Otabil and Co must take part of the blame.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these people came to your fellowships, they were members of your churches, they looked up to you, and now that they seem to be out of control, you can't distance yourself from them. And it possibly could be God's own way of carrying this thing to the next level, just that they are excesses. Yeah. What do you say to that?
Yes, so we all have contended to your allusion, your suggestion. In our fathers' meeting recently, where all of them were there, we put this discussion on the table and we take responsibility. Maybe we didn't do some things right. Maybe we showed the aspect of the prosperity too much, which attracted them into ministry. Oh, I can be in ministry and I can make money. I can be in ministry, I can ride big cars. So quickly they started running into ministry. They go and hide somewhere and then pray small. When they dream and they have some small visions, they come out and they said, Onyamia fremi, God has called me. And then they start wildly. Their theology is bad. Their behavioral ethics poor. Their understanding of spiritual matters weak. They don't even know why God puts money into our hands. That money comes into our hands not to buy 15 Range Rovers and build 30 houses and to go on trips with your girlfriends. They don't even know that that is not the purpose of money in ministry. God puts money in our hands to promote the gospel, the preaching of the gospel, evangelism, outreach, soul winning, prisons, the poor, the needy. And whilst on behalf of the fathers, we take responsibility, God has given us the opportunity to correct the wrong. So why are we still quiet? Why is it that only Sam Korankye Ankrah talking? Why has Sam Korankye Ankrah only become the target of these young boys? Because everyone is quiet and I'm the one coming after their ethics and their attitude and their excesses. So we've made some wrongs. They saw something about us that attracted them more to the gospel rather than our righteousness, rather than our holiness, rather than probably Christ. But as I said, why are we not correcting it? Why are we not rebuking them? And I think that it is time for Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council not to be quiet anymore. I think that it is time for Christian Council of Ghana not to be quiet anymore. I think that it is time for National Association of Charismatic and Christian Churches not to be quiet anymore. I think that it is time for the senior prophets and the senior clergy who have gone through these 40 years of revival, charismatism. We have laid the foundation. And now we are in our 60s, 70s, our 80s. We are weak. We have to be getting out and allowing the younger children to come in. I think that we do not have to be quiet anymore. We have to call spade a spade. We have to let people know the right from the wrong. We have to let people know what is righteous and what is excess. Fortunately for us, some of these young boys have started coming to submit to us. Those who have come to submit to us, we don't rebuke them publicly. We correct them, behind closed doors. And I'm glad to say that things are working out gradually good. For example, you will notice that at the end of the year last year, the prophecies about death was not as much as previously. Why? Because of our intervention. Because we came out to say that is no prophecy. That is not the word of God. That is not the Spirit of God. That is to just create fear so that you depend upon men. And when you depend upon them, then they have the opportunity to take more money from you, and sometimes to even manipulate your marriage and to tell you your husband is a wizard, your wife is a witch, drive your wife out, and as a counselor, some of these problems have come to me every now and then. So the sex prophecies that we have been enduring in previous years, last year, it toned down a little bit, meaning that people are learning, meaning that some of our rebukes are working, and some of the things that we are seeing. But I want to say that we still have a lot of work to do. We have more to do as we're getting ready to be handing over. Great. We need to make sure that we hand over correctly and appropriately.
I love music so much. And a lot of times when I used to watch your thing on GTV at 11 p.m., we come rejoicing. And Charlie, people were crying, and Charlie, Holy Ghost, can it be? You are very, and sometimes you worship. Yeah. You take the mic, you love music, man. Yeah. But how haven't you done your own album?
People like you and Ebo White, you discourage me from doing my own album. Because Ebo White keeps laughing at me that we don't have the voice.
No, you have the anointing.
Well, as a result of my passion and love for worship, I think that of all ministers, I am most blessed to have a collection of the most potent and powerful, prolific worship leaders.
I'm sure Stanley and Steve have something to say about that. Stanley and Steve Mensa.
Yeah. They do have good music.
Yes.
I have MOG.
Okay.
MOG's song has hit the whole world.
Be lifted.
Be lifted above all that God.
We lay our crowns and worship.
Oh, glorious God.
We
praise your name.
We lay our crowns and worship.
Is the voice good? Oh, it's only today. It's today that.
No, they have given you the key.
Wow. So that one, and then Pastor Kofi will be,
of course.
Also, it's a 3 album. He has 3 albums to his credit.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, on Wednesday during the worship, he has one on AG60 that he'll be doing with his band. You just heard Pastor Jifa, and that song is going to go places. You'll hear another one on Sunday morning. Pastor Pa is leading a 700 strong mass choir. And the second song is an in-house song which he made. Pastor Pa, where are you?
700.
700 mass choir.
Wow.
Where is Pastor Pa? So, just blow it. Sing it from the back. Pastor Niles.
Now running to take his mic.
Mighty God, unchangeable, we lift your name high above all. Almighty God, unchangeable, we lift your name high above. For you are holy,
has 700 mass choir.
Hey.
Show me. There's none. Royalhouse Chapel is the only. Show me any one single church that has 13 choirs. Royalhouse Chapel headquarters
in
this church, 13 choirs.
Why?
Headquarters.
Why?
Why? Because God has blessed me with so many singers that one choir cannot hold them anymore. So we have to divide ourselves, because if everybody was in praising showers and Pastor Jifa is in praising showers, Pastor Nanaya is in praising showers, to sing solo, Jesus Christ will have to come down. So the only way you can get a team to play and play regularly is to leave Manchester and then go and join Everton.
No, it's Liverpool.
Liverpool. So you have to leave Liverpool and go to a lower,
Okay.
So the only way by which some of them could get the opportunity to express their gift was to
have other choirs.
To have other choirs.
Okay.
So all the 13 choirs are vibrant, active, under strong leadership. But again, because we want unity, every convention and a celebration like this,
Convention of Saints. Everybody comes together.
Everybody, you stop your own thing, you come together. So we start a convention on Sunday, first Sunday with the mass choir. We finish the following Sunday with the mass choir, and then in between the various choirs,
Your Convention of Saints has some interesting people. You bring South Africans, you bring Bernard Avle and Sam. There are certain people you bring. You have interesting friends.
Yeah.
Even though all the people we mentioned are your contemporaries.
Yeah.
You seem to have a different type of flavor for your programs. How does somebody become your ministry friend? I mean, your Holland, is it because, for example, you hosted in Holland, so who's one size? I mean, how does somebody become your ministry brother?
It's a very good question. So number one, apart from the regular known faces that we bring every year, now I've created a spot where I change faces.
Okay.
So, for example, I now make a way for my contemporaries. So, Ajinasari was on about 5 years ago, and then the following year, Dake Ward Mills was on, and then Reverend Eastwood Anaba was on, and then Dake Ward Mills was on, and now I'm left with bringing others like Ampia Kofi and the rest,
So that's the slot you change.
So the slot is not.
But there's
changing.
a permanent slot for some people.
There's a permanent slot for some people. And now the reason. These people have become members of our family, the Royalhouse fraternity.
Okay.
That in their calendar, they make space. And my friend in South Africa, for example, he has come to understand the covenant so much such that for him, he says when he's not even speaking,
He will come.
he will still come.
He will pay for his own ticket.
He will pay for his own ticket and come.
Wow.
So you have to honor him.
Yeah.
Give him one slot, let him speak. And why I do that is I believe that every year God adds to the grace upon a man's anointing, and then God gives him wisdom.
Yeah.
So what he comes to speak this year is not the same as what he's coming to speak next year. Every year God keeps raising and giving new message, and so on and so forth. So number one, apart from the fact that they make a space, within their personal calendar for the convention. Number two, we believe that they always have a message. Number three, they have become part of us, such that we cannot do convention without them. So Bishop Alote in this celebration is coming with 11 plus his wife, 12 strong. And it is at no cost to Royalhouse Chapel and to me.
Wow.
He's rented hotels for all of them, paying for all of them, just to be with me, to celebrate me. This is what we call friendship.
Amazing.
This is what we call brotherhood or brotherliness. So this is why. And you notice that I am not the only person who does it. Dr. Otabil has the same group of people speaking, because the thing is fellowship. And
So it means you move in companies. There are people of your kind.
people of your kind, you flow with them.
Okay.
And your people are used to them now. And so
Is
they
it
want
time
to
for a
make it,
national charismatic program? I mean, let me give you a quick statistic. So, about 70% of Ghanaians say they are Christians. Over 60% of those self-identify as Pentecost charismatics. It could be more. So, you guys are many, but you all do your own programs. So, Doug is doing something, Easter, Action, Impact, your across town neighbor is doing his thing. You're also doing your thing. You know, my question is, I mean, you said John 17, okay, verse
that
21
all
going, that they all may be one, as I am one in you, and they will see my glory. Why can't you come together to even do one program the whole year? Why?
It's been a challenge to us. We have taken on board that challenge, and we've started talking about it. And very soon, the body of Christ will see us, come together for a strong program. However, something goes on every year, every 4 years. Every 4 years during election time, the fear of election and the chaos brings us together to pray. And most likely we'll be going to Independence Square again. As we approach. We have been to Kaneshi Sports Complex before, under the auspices of Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council. All of us were there, and we all spoke a piece, and we led the congregation in prayer. At the moment, the people who do it for us now, it's Women's Aglo, more than the council. The Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, we celebrated our 50th birthday, and we had a massive crusade at Perez Dome to climax it. So, yes, the challenge is there. Bringing people together, agreeing on the same date, who is speaking, who will MC, who will lead worship, and all of those things become, a real challenge.
Is it not because everybody is building their own empire?
Not really. We are doing it for God and for the kingdom. This one is just a small weakness of the flesh that we are yet to overcome. And
can you elaborate on that?
Bernard, be a good boy. Let's go on with our interview.
Wow.
It's a small weakness of the flesh that is indication that the men of God themselves, we are not perfect.
I tell you.
After all. So that's one bone of contention, because we have no reason why once every year we cannot come together. Even though when we meet, we discuss it and we talk about it, and we are trying to push it. Unfortunately, we are unable to push it on our own, except on election, when we have electioneering. I think we shall be doing one very soon.
Okay. Let's talk about two quick things nationally. Corruption. A lot of Ghanaians come to these churches and they come to convention of saints, they speak in tongues. And they are the same people who work in the ministries, departments, business. So why is it that the message cannot change the way they behave when they go to the workplace?
Some of them are here. Please ask them.
So easy.
Wow, Bernard. I was enjoying the earlier question. I didn't know you had reserved the difficult ones to the end, Bernard.
Small.
It's a problem that the people who come to us, sit in our presence, hear us preach, are the same persons who govern this nation and are in public office, and yet it's very difficult for them to practice righteousness. Corruption is high. Our country is not the only country that is bracing itself with this canker of corruption. Even in America and everywhere, except that in other jurisdictions, when you are caught, the law will deal with you. Over here, when you are caught, there will still be a way by which somebody somewhere will get you off the hook. That is just what the problem is. So I advocate on this occasion that if the law will be applied a little bit to bite more, it will shake people and people will sit up. Otherwise, humans as we are, human beings will always do things in their own way. Human beings' greed will always be at the fore. Human beings wanting to grab, especially in a country like Ghana where poverty is high, and where the parliamentarian and the politician in his community is being looked up to by everybody. When they hear that the parliamentarian has come to town, everybody will flock to the house. Money for cocoa, money for school fees, money to buy children's clothes, and so on and so forth. The pressure.
But some say it's because the system is not working. Therefore, there are a lot of people who are poor who demand that.
Who demand?
Now, the question is, are you not preaching, not you personally, are we not preaching an incomplete message? Because, Romans 12, transformation, right? So that if somebody sits under your ministry for 20 years,
yes,
and they become a politician or a journalist, they must stand for truth.
Yeah, so
what's going on with the message?
So I was coming to that place. So the pressure on the politician and the public office holder then forces him to do the things that he does, even though I'm not holding brief for him. If you don't have it, you don't need to. But he has to provide because he wants the people to vote for him in the next election. So that is it. First suggestion, the law must bite. When a person is caught, the law must be allowed to take its course so that people will sit up. 2, for us, we must stem up the preaching, step it up, and then preach and teach more so that people will align or realign themselves. I do not think that in the past we haven't preached properly. I don't think so. We have.
Don't you think the emphasis has been too much on making it as against integrity? And in the quest to overcome poverty, we've made the message, you will make it very strong, as against contentment, and also that aspect of
that. There's nothing wrong with it, actually. When you look at the complete gospel starts with salvation of the soul. And then God comes to dwell inside of you, the Holy Spirit. And then it says, may you prosper as your soul prospers. So the total gospel is emancipation and salvation of your soul, and then being translated from darkness into light, or alienation of God to union with God through Christ, with the accompanying demonstration of the grace of God upon your life in the area of blessing, prosperity, and good health and long life. These are all things that this is the package the gospel comes with. So there's absolutely nothing wrong if we have to emphasize that, and particularly against the backdrop of the poverty that we have in our nation. Somebody comes to church and he's come to church for 2.5 hours. The person must carry something home. You must give the person some hope. The message must be able to address his needs, and both spiritual, material, and physical. Unfortunately, people are more interested in the materialistic aspect more. Even though you emphasize the spiritual, he thinks that the spiritual is between him and God. Tell him something that will break through this kind of problem that he has. And so it looks like the message weighs.
So you're saying the environment is forcing you, the leaders, to preach?
No, the environment is not forcing. I'm saying that the total package of the gospel is salvation and blessing and long life.
But the means, I don't argue with the end result.
The end result.
But the means to that prosperity must be honest, must be truth. It must not be bribery. It must not be greed. So if you say, I want you to prosper as your soul prosper, that's great. But that prosperity doesn't mean you go and push cocaine and come and pay tithe.
Sure.
But we don't talk about that.
Oh, we do. No,
I don't think you do that enough. Not you per se. But my point is, colleagues, do we talk about the way? Because Christ said, narrow is the path that leads to life. Okay, so if you're going to prosper, there has to be a methodology. But it looks like the end result is what matters, not the means.
No, we do. Bernard, when he was poor, he was very responsible to his wife and his family. He would go to work, come home. The ampesier that the wife would put on the table, he will eat with gladness and gratitude. Good husband. But as soon as he got money, he starts coming home late. He now has a girlfriend or girlfriends. What made him so? Is it the money? No. The attitude is there already. He has been longing for the opportunity to have girlfriends all along, but the absence of money did not make him. So now money has come quickly. Then you see that human element. So Bernard, I'm telling you, we preach well. The Holy Spirit convicts you. You mentioned about how in my meetings people are crying and you see tears. People are remorseful. People want to give up something. People want to, and so on and so forth. But as soon as he or she leaves the place and then enters into the world, then the voices start coming, the pressure from people, and so on and so forth. And then it looks like the message you preached last Sunday didn't work, but it does. Gradually, you see these people coming out of some of these difficult situations and vices, and so on and so forth. So for some people, transformation and change comes 1 month, 3 months. Others 3 years, others 4 years, others 5 years, others 10 years. Some other people, it has to happen on the sick bed. When he finds out that he's now dying, then he says, God, what would you have me to do? So for an Apostle Paul, if it had not been that collision that he had with Christ, falling off the horse, his eyes becoming blind, and then now seeking his eyes to open, then he said, Lord, what would you have me to do for you? Otherwise, all along, he thought he was doing something for God. He thought he was fighting for God until God said, you are not fighting for me, you are fighting against me. So, most of my contemporaries, are preaching well. The attitude of the people sometimes, and most of the times, as you have observed, does not reflect what we preach. It does not show weakness in the preaching, but it only shows weakness in human attitude. And with time,
we pray the word overcomes that.
And then with time, the Spirit of the Lord.
Let me end on politics. One of the problems we have is our politics is very divisive, and we have 2 leading political parties, and there's a lot of vindictiveness, and the election is fiercely competed for. Now you have both NDC and MPP in your church, and you also have related with heads of state from both sides throughout, from Kufuor, Rawlings, all the way through. How do we reduce that? Because we are told that some of that vindictiveness leads to destruction of businesses, unnecessary victimization. How do you manage that? Where you have, so Muhammad comes to your church, MPP is in opposition, Akufo-Addo too will come, and then people are saying all these things. How do you use your ministry to unify? Because everything in Ghana is NDC or MPP. Hopefully, except church. We hope it doesn't get there.
Yeah.
We don't have the MPP in the left NDC. So how do you maintain and manage that?
So number one, every church leader must be neutral when it comes to politics. Because you rightly said, I have NDC people in my congregation, I have MPP in my congregation, and I also have non-aligned people in my congregation. And so you need to be sensitive to that. You need to be mindful of that. And as a man, as a leader, you may have your personal persuasions.
Okay.
But you must be seen to be neutral as much as possible. Because yours is to put them together, not to divide them. That's number one. Number two, in this year, as you turn to the radio and TV stations, you will notice that our messages and our sermons are all going to be heading towards unity, peace, forgiveness, tolerance, love, and so on and so forth. This is our contribution, my contribution towards a peaceful election period. Then the other thing is, do I like the chaos, the friction, the division? Definitely no. Why is it so? Again, the human element and the human attitude, Bernard, comes into the play. our country is so polarized, such that winner takes all. Our constitutional arrangement for me must be, we have to update the constitution. It doesn't help. Why can't we have in our country, we run an election, the winner of the election has a certain percentage of the public office portfolio. And then the one who does not win also has a certain percentage, because there are also intelligent people in that party who can contribute their quota. Why should the winner take all and alienate and call these people enemies, to the extent that ever since we entered into our democratic dispensation, I have never one single day sit on television watching Metro TV, TV3, GTV, where I will see an opposition party speaking well of the incumbent doing well. Every time it is negative. When he also comes into opposition, the same thing he does. And so every day, it is like people are looking for the wrong thing he's doing, and they'll hammer the wrong thing just to get him out so that he comes in and so on. And it doesn't help our dispensation. It doesn't help our democratic discourse. I think that we have to look at this winner takes all business too. We also have to look at the powers of the presidency. I think that they have too much power. Power to appoint the Inspector General of Police, power to appoint the head of army. The institutions must have a way of running themselves. You know, choose your cabinet, and that should be all. But some of these public offices and so on must be allowed. Chief director, why should chief director's position be a political position? This is a civil service position. So our constitutional arrangement is not helpful. The winner takes all business syndrome is not helpful. The politicking itself is not helpful. Finding fault by all means about the person who is there because you are not there is also not helpful. So these are some of the things that we have to speak against.
I see upstairs some things. I can see you. The politician that you didn't happy is coming. You know, the thing is just flowing. Charlie, God is good. God saved him early. Let me read some of your comments. We are live on Facebook. Here are some of your comments. I'm going to read a lot. Now, you select a few because we can't answer all, because we have to wrap up. Apostle General, what has been your hardest obstacle with regards to your ministry, and how did you overcome it? That's if you have been able to overcome it at all, and if not, why? This is from one person. Apostle General, what is the inspiration behind your ministry and the secret of your health? Okay, no name attached. What can you say has been your biggest challenge when it comes to being the head of a church? Or what are some of the challenges you face as AG? More questions. Do you have any succession plan for the great chapel, so that in some years to come, even when you are not there, the chapel will continue to flourish and win more souls for Christ? This one, I wanted to answer it. I wanted to answer this one. Question. A man may dream many things, but how does he know which one would give him mental rest and be God's will for him? So I don't know which of them you want to answer. You answered the succession one.
Yes, the succession one is very important. Without missing words and without being afraid, I can look into the future and I prophesy that Royalhouse Chapel will be greater a ministry in my absence than in my time than when I am alive. That clap offering was very...
Amen.
Oh, Bernard.
Amen.
It's very simple. I have set a standard of righteousness for all my sons, and they see it. I have set the passion that I have for prayer, for worship, for the word of God, for the weak, for the needy, for the poor in society. I've set it all up for them. If they will follow the faith of the father, Apostle Paul wrote, he said, follow the faith of the fathers. If they will follow the faith of their father, it means they are going to the next level. Look at this conference room. Why will my son fly from Switzerland with a team of, see all those white people there from Switzerland, just to come and honor me and then go back? He saw something in me when I brought him to Christ. when I invested into his life, into his training, and during difficult times of his ministry, how I stood with him as a father. That is what has gotten him to stick with me. Look at another man who has been my associate for nearly 40 years. He's not a stupid guy. He's not foolish. There is something he has seen. All his children are into ministry with us. Look at somebody flying all the way. Where is Thomas? Son, let me see you. Flying all the way from Connecticut. Just Connecticut, you come and honor me.
Wow.
A man is all right. He's a human resource consultant in America. Why would Lawyer Jiffa stop practice just to come and put administration together and to move, Wow. And yesterday, she said something during their presentation that touched me. She says, I want to let you know that Apostle General is a genuine man. And if an intelligent lawyer makes this observation, then you can see it as a commendation from heaven. Look at my son, Pastor Charles, who has been following my vision since age 19 from University of Ghana. Now he's 46 years old with his 5 children, are in ministry and dying for this vision. It is amazing. And more others are coming to join. I have laid the foundation. The foundation has attracted intelligent people, and they will run with it. Here's my contribution to the second generation. You see this infrastructure? This is God's money. And we have done this for the generation to come. You see the oil dome that we are building? That is God's money. It's an infrastructure that we are leaving for the generations to come. We are not showing pictures of my other churches. Have you seen our church in America?
Not yet.
All right, so you need to go there and see our church in America, and then you see what the legacy that we are leaving for generations yet unborn, and on and on and on. And then another thing that I have done is to educate the future leaders. When I looked at the people sitting under my feet, I realized that if I do not invest into their education, in future, I will not have any persons to leave my legacies with. Because you can't leave legacies with people who have no direction, people who are not educated, people who do not understand contemporary issues, people who do not understand social dynamics. It's difficult. You can't do it. So, Bernard, you know what I did? I spent meager resources of Royalhouse Chapel to put people on scholarship at the time when we didn't have church building.
Wow.
Yes. Our scholarship foundation was created when we were still renting Blackmore and Sons premises.
Ring Road Central.
Ring Road Central. Then I started preaching and telling the mothers who were there, I said, you didn't go to school, but I will help you. Your children will go to the best school. And it was amazing to see the market women in our congregation, their children going to St. Augustine's. It was amazing to see them going to Adisadel. It was amazing to see them go to Achimota. It was amazing to see them, and today, most parents in Royalhouse Chapel, they're well-to-do, all their children are schooling abroad. From zero. Ground zero. And I have done all of these things, preparing them for the future. Now, tomorrow, a very prominent professor of succession is coming to meet my leadership. Professor Apostle Opokunyina, the past chairman of Church of Pentecost, who served under Makion and saw various successions until it was his turn when he moved the church to another level.
Wow.
He is coming to talk to our executive council tomorrow before Sada. Why am I bringing him? I want the leadership to hear him, his views about how Church of Pentecost successfully did their succession, constitution to to arrive at where they are right now. And if the same God who has helped Church of Pentecost, the same God will help us.
Wow.
The same God who has helped Assemblies of God, the same God will also help us.
Wow.
So with genuine heart, with vision. So you see, I sit here, but I'm looking at Royalhouse Chapel in the next 50 years. In the next 50 years, I will definitely not be the Apostle General. There's going to be another person. And how to move the work forward is the reason why we are doing what we are doing right now.
Wow.
I'll prophesy again. This church will be greater in my absence than when I am alive.
Amazing. Wow. Wow. This is a very good place to try and wrap up. So what I wanted you to do was to speak into the year, because we have an election and there's a lot of concern about that. And you've mentioned there will be prayers and so, but I also wanted to talk about the next level for Ghana. Because every time we say, oh, we are first independent, Kwame Nkrumah, we have a lot of record. But it looks like others have overtaken us, right? So what is how do you shift the country to its next level? Because we were named after the Ghana Empire, which was very strong. Yet a lot of people say this country is really underachieving under all kinds of governments. So it's not an NDC MPP issue. How do we move Ghana to its next level?
So let me quickly satisfy the plenty questions that came.
Yes.
They were all bordering on the same thing. They were asking me how I've solved problems, how I have been able to face the challenges of ministry, and so on and so forth. I just want the whole world to know that once you are in leadership, you will always be called on to solve problems. Leadership comes with problems. You have to solve people's problems, structural problems, constitutional problems, arrangement problems, and so on and so forth. Strange things can happen. A very loved one that you love in the church suddenly will be sick, and the Lord will call the person to glory. A lot of questions. God, what happened? Didn't we pray enough? And so on and so forth. This is how I've handled the problems. I've always made sure that I have the peace of God in my heart. Whenever a problem arises, I ask God, God, give me wisdom. How do I solve and how do I handle this problem? And so with the word of God inside of me and the Spirit of God leading me, I have tackled problems as such. I have tackled problems prayerfully. And then my little contribution I have offered. If it has to be spiritual counsel, I give. If I have to contribute financially, I do. Whatever I have to do to have the problem solved, I will make the effort, and God normally will add His grace, and we have seen God, come through for us. So the problems will come. The problems do not make you resign. The problems come to toughen you and to make you strong. Ghana. We certainly don't have problems with educated people. We are very educated. Even though I would advocate that we need improvement in our educational system. When you look at other countries, some time ago we were ahead of Canada, we were ahead of Malaysia. Today they've all overtaken us. And so we need a revamping of our educational system. Our children are taught more to what is known as chew and pour and then pass, instead of making them creative and making them think. We need to move in that area. So basically, we don't like educated people. There are Ghanaian professors all over the world. They are doing great things, good authors. We don't like economists. We have. But why are we not moving forward as a nation? We are coming back to the attitude. Corruption, greed. We lack leaders. Our people are just managers. They are not leaders. They are not visionary people. A minister is appointed into the office of ministry of so and so. He has no vision for the ministry. He is just going there to do what is always done. They bring file, he looks at it, sign, minutes it to directors, chief director, travel opportunities, who are going, how much per diem do we have to give them? This is all that they do. They have no vision. I am here to see Ghana's tourist minister, past and present, have a vision of tourism for our country. I am here to see a minister of education, past and present and to come, have a vision for education in Ghana for our children. I'm here to see that. So, when people stand for political offices and they win, and the president is now appointing his cabinet and leaders, he must look out for visionary leaders. People who are creative, people who are coming to add, not to go and sit in office and then files come and then they'll be minuting files and then, traveling here and there. If we did that, we will see our nation moving forward. We need to have a vision for our agricultural sector. We have land. How are we going to be able to produce food, to have enough to feed us and enough to even export? We need vision in that area. How are we going to supplement the fishes in the sea, which are getting finished anyway? How are we going to have a vision of creating fish farms at the backyard of our homes, and so on and so forth? How are we going to turn our universities into a place of people not just going to obtain degrees and coming out, but by the time the person is coming out from university, he has an idea what he's going to contribute to the national discourse and to our economic discourse by creating jobs for himself and for other people, and not going to sit at home, national service, and is waiting to be called to be employed, at a place where it's already crowded. We need a paradigm shift as a people. We need to know that the world is moving fast and others have gone ahead of us. But I believe in the spirit and anointing of overtaking. That if we do well, God will give us the grace. Rwanda is making it. Why not the first black African continent in the sub-Sahara to obtain independence? Ghana, we can do it. We have the people to do it. I, as a man of God, and we, the men of God, we are proving it. With the little resources that come into our hands, see what we are doing for God. And those of you who are in charge of our taxes, please, there's more you can do for our nation. And on this occasion of my sister's birthday, my heart desire is that before the Lord calls me to eternity, I want to see Ghana rise. I want to see Ghana first. I want to see prosperity and peace in this our nation. I want to see that our children and our children's children have a future in this nation.
Wow.
Well, so there you have it. We hope you enjoyed that conversation. That was the second of a two-part series with the Apostle General Sam Korankye Ankrah. If you want more, go to CityTube where you get the full video. My name is Bernard Avle. Stay with City TV. We'll see you next time. Bye. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed this video on City TV's YouTube channel. Subscribe for more videos on The Point of View. My name is Bernard Avle. Thank you.
The Point of View with Bernard Avle, Monday and Wednesday nights, only on City TV.